This is the time when a lot of you people are actually filling out a lot of that data, which goes towards donor reporting, which goes towards new proposal submissions. This is a busy time for nonprofits. Firstly, anybody would like to go in terms of how you are able to manage all that? Are you able to have had all your data collection mechanisms in place? And this is information which is not really we are looking to publish outside, but we really want to understand what are the ground challenges, because a lot of some organizations do run their programs elsewhere, and data is actually uh, relayed back to the central office or to the regional office where it is analyzed. Then you have the donor management group working. Anybody who's had any kind of lags with the closures and so on?
Hello.
Yes, Nandakishore, please go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to introduce. We are into digital education for rural masses. Okay, so like we have people. I'm using them, as our database management team for all the projects.
Okay.
Of course, it is in a very nascent stage. I would like to support. I need support in kind of streamlining the process. If you have any models,
All right. Okay.
I'm just opening the discussion for this. I have a setup and I have people, and I just want to see whether the people are using some kind of models to monitor the project. A kind of MIS, those issues. So I'm open for discussion for such activities.
Okay. Anybody else who also wants to talk a little bit more about, what are the kind of available technologies which are out there? We can structure that conversation, that discussion, based on, if there is some sort of a common requirement around that. While that will form part of the formal cohort, but I'm happy to immediately jump right into it if people would like to kind of talk about that. One of the things that we have been planning to do as part of the cohort was to get our tech team to talk in terms of, really what are the available technologies that really one could use. But given that a lot of organizations are at different stages of their genesis, have different kind of resources to put in, there are the most simplest solutions which G Suite allows, where you kind of use Google Sheets. You have G Suite for small enterprises. If you're a registered nonprofit, then it's available on a no charge basis. And once every team member has a Gmail account, they can access the suite and you can actually set up your primary MIS there. For those of you who are looking at last mile data collection apps, then there are go-to-market solutions. I do believe a lot of them do require customization, which is going to cost. I know that for organizations who do have the financial capability, you can look at subscription-based softwares. You have Zoho. Salesforce has launched something for nonprofits. Whether that requires some sort of a force fitting of the data points that you want to capture, I think one has to kind of essentially look at that. I don't want to talk about the M4I right now because I think that's premature and it almost sounds like I'm here to talk about a platform which all of you can access. It is something that can come through the feedback form, and we are happy to schedule walkthroughs of M4I for those of you who are interested. But the primary idea of this discussion is not to talk about M4I. It is one of the things that organizations can look at. You want to look at platforms which are primarily open access for those of you who are starting out on that journey. How many of you continue to use Excel and feel that currently Excel is able to support your MIS generation for your organization. All right. Yes, I think, Mangal, you've said that we do use it, but it's not as helpful as desired. I think Excel is a great way to start off initially. But yes, it does have certain inherent limitations. One, uh, Excel has been largely built for financial analysis. And so if you're going to get into multiple sheets and you're linking those sheets, there is data corruption, there is data loss, system can crash. I remember in the old days, we built a lot of Excel-based MIS systems, which began to fail. At this point of time, I am going to ask Mimansa from our team to really jump in and address whether Google Sheets is an improvisation over what Excel offers. I know that Google Sheets is something that we've used. Google Forms is something we've used when we've run a lot of our surveys, which has been very supportive of uh, analysis and across the data tables, especially if there have been MCQ scaling based questions. Mimansa?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Vijaya. Google Sheets allows you to also, work collaboratively with others at the same time, and with almost a lot of features similar to Excel, you can do all your analysis there and benefit from the additional features. So, getting your data on cloud solves one of your data storage problems, and uh, getting the analysis in the same way as Excel would allow, I think just solves the entire purpose.
Okay, thank you. Having said that, I also believe that the kind of technology solution that organizations would like to use is primarily contingent on the size of the data itself that you want to start recording. I think one of the things that we all need to accept is that there to have an complete end-to-end cycle, right from last mile data collection to aggregation to analysis to dashboarding and reporting. Uh, it does call for bespoke solutions, which can be expensive. Now, there are platforms. You have Trachiometrics, you have MFORM, but MFORM I do know is expensive. You do have OCAT, which works as a last mile data collection. You have the M4I, which allows for bulk uploads and generating a dashboard based on some of the predefined impact indicators. So one can navigate through all of these and first get a sense of which sort of MIS one could use. Which of these platforms one could use, which would address some of your MIS needs. I also think that organizations need to spend a certain amount of time in the trial and error methods before you finally crack the solution. And I don't think that immediately heavy investment in building a bespoke solution should necessarily be the answer. Okay. And I do want to take a pause on this conversation, which we will pick up further as we go along, and want to move into the formal segment of what we had wanted to walk you through in terms of what the cohort was really all about, and to give you a sense of a teaser which will allow you in the coming weeks to interact with my teams on the specific modules that we want to cover. And so with that, I would like Mimansa to do a screen share of the precursor to the in-person cohort that we had scheduled.
Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think one of the things, and without trying to sound too theoretical about it, we've been in the last few months, we spoke to over 100+ nonprofits, and maybe some of you were also part of this study that we undertook, where we've understood that there is a huge need for data management support. A lot of nonprofits have come back to us saying that they don't necessarily have the knowledge and support in managing data. And some of them, it's almost been like a 50-50 kind of a thing. And before we therefore get into data management support, I really want to start with the need for why we're looking increasingly to a more data-driven world. And so, Mimamsa, can we get the first slide up, please? Now, I think one of the things, and I don't claim, I'm not here to evangelize that we all move to a data-driven world, but our learnings through our engagements with nonprofits, our work that we do in enabling organizations to build their MIS and M&E functions have shown us that it is essential for us to have data. And without our knowledge, we are collecting a lot of data. Each one of us, each one of you, in the organizations that you run. Now, and often we wonder, how are we going to use this data? And it can be used. For all of us who are collecting, we have a database of volunteers who've contributed to our organization. We've had volunteers who've run the marathon for us. They all become an important stakeholder as organizations look to develop their volunteer management functions, and how volunteers can also then move into becoming a very important supporter and donor, individual donor database for the organization.